Am I the asshole for sending my daughter to live with her grandmother and giving her clothes to her sister? Okay, so title is a doozy, but let me explain. I, 34 female, am a single mother with 2 children, 14 female and 11 female. Up until recently they've had a typical sibling relationship, bickering, but they ultimately love each other. This all changed on Thursday. I was taking 11 out for a birthday shop and had left 14 home alone. We were only gone for 2 hours. When we got back, everything was fine. 14 was doing her homework, and she had done the chores I had asked her to. 11 ran up to her room to try on new clothes when I hear screaming. 14 had completely trashed her 11's room. Her clothes were cut up, her makeup had been destroyed and smeared on the walls and desk. Her books had been ripped up and schoolwork missing. We found it in a bin bag outside and it was luckily unharmed along with her favorite stuffed animal. 11 was, understandably, in hysterics and 14 seemed to show remorse, but I was so overwhelmed that I called my mum and told her she needs to come pick up 14. Whilst we were waiting, 11 was sifting through her stuff and I was in 14's room going through her clothes. She asked what I was doing and I told her that since she destroyed 11's clothes, she needs some to wear whilst I get her some more and I'm giving her 14's clothes for the time being. 14 still had enough clothes to wear, though. She got super upset and went outside to wait for her grandma. It's Saturday and I was talking to my sister and friends about it. My sister called me an asshole for shipping 14 off without trying to understand her motives and for giving her clothes to 11. She accused me of favoring 11. My friends also said it was weird that I gave 14's clothes to 11 and that it was an odd punishment. Am I the asshole? Info. I don't favor one daughter over the other. I grew up as the obvious second choice out of myself and my sister and I strive to make them both feel loved. Literally last weekend, 11 went to stay with her uncle and cousins so 14 and I could have a spa weekend together so it's not like I neglected either of them. We're also very open about mental health in general, and this is one of the only times I've acted on anger, impulse, in front of my kids. 14 doesn't have any diagnosed illnesses. It was a priority to get them both checked because I have mental illnesses, but 14 got checked in September 2020 and nothing came up. I'm going to get 14 a therapist, but it's hard due to recent events. And #X200B. Edit. People are assuming I'm not talking to 14. I am. I also asked why she did what she did before her gran arrived and she said she didn't know. Earlier today she told me she wanted to smash things up. People also have an issue with the length that I've sent her away. I want to make sure 11 is okay mentally, too. She had literally all of her belongings ruined and I don't want to put her in a position where she has to live with someone who did that to her. I am planning on switching the girls. 11 goes to Jima and 14 comes to me. But again, I want to make sure everyone is okay mentally. Edit 2. Someone mentioned a TikTok trend where people trash other people's belongings. I know both 14 and 11 watch TikToks so I might scroll through the videos to look for evidence. Does anyone know the name of this trend or a hashtag I can use to get to those videos? Thank you in advance. So, just suddenly, out of the blue, for no apparent reason, your daughter violently destroyed her sister's room and property. There's some missing info here. Not the asshole, it was a good decision to remove one child from a clearly overwhelming situation. But now begins the work. You need to find out why this happened. There must be a reason somewhere. Don't make the mistake of just being angry with 14. There needs to be consequences, sure, but also some serious source finding. This had a reason. Not the asshole. Based on your comments it sounds like 14 was bored and wanted to be destructive and decided to do something awful to 11. I don't know why people think 11 needs to be sent away considering she's the victim. I think you were right to get some distance because in this situation 11's emotional needs had to come first. 14 needs therapy and really needs consequences that last a while. Whether that's paying back for things she damaged or giving up her favorite things I don't know. But what she did was inexcusable. Not the asshole, and it's sad that so many people are happy to support a bully here. Poor 11-year-old. Not the asshole. Some people are giving you a hard time for choosing to keep 11-year-old and getting the 14-year-old out. I think it was a good idea. The child who was hurt and needed to be safe and supported got to be with you, and your mum had a chance to be a circuit breaker for you and your eldest. For a small time. Then you plan to switch it around. I think it's a good thing symbolically that your 11-year-old is not separated from you at this time. Her world just imploded and I am glad you did not compound it by sending her away.
Obviously there is a long road ahead figuring out what is going on and helping both daughters, but I think you are making a solid start. Has Grandma had any luck talking to 14 about what happened? Surely they've been discussing it. Maybe Grandma could provide a little more context about why 14 made this decision. Just a thought.
Not the asshole. What you did was understandable and probably the best thing in the immediate aftermath, considering that you were overwhelmed and angry and your younger daughter probably would have been even further traumatized being around her sister for the time being. I don't envy the road ahead trying to figure out what made your older daughter snap. Any wild guesses? Has she ever done anything even remotely like this before?
Not the asshole. It sounds like you were really shocked by what happened and you needed both your 14-year-old daughter and yourself to calm down first. That being said, I don't think it's an odd punishment to borrow some of her clothes to the 11-year-old. It's a life lesson. Don't mess with people's shit or you have to pay for it. She doesn't have the funds for it right now, so she has to pay through clothes.
Not the asshole. For 14 to do something so extreme and not be able to verbalize a reason, I probably would have done the same thing because I would have been terrified about 14 being dangerous to 11. I would get 14 a psychiatric eval stat. This is so far beyond the realm of normal.
Not the asshole. My brother was very destructive and that older sibling bully type when we were younger. He once covered my toothbrush in his own shit and nearly convinced me it was chocolate and stuck it in my mouth. I was quite young and gullible. It was good you sent 14 away and not 11, because 11 needed to mourn over her possessions. She needed time to sort through everything and grieve the destruction and try and resituate her life and get her room back to order. One time my brother trashed my room because he was having a fight with my mum and just decided to spread his anger, and it took me a couple of days of cleaning to feel safe in my space again.
When kids say they don't know, generally they know, they're just A, too scared, embarrassed to tell you, or B, don't think they'll be believed.
Not the asshole. Let us know what happens next. Sounds like 14 female needs to be doing extra chores once things settle down to pay back for the extra expense of replacing things, along with more punishment as consequences or delay certain milestones of passage most teenagers have. How is the 11-year-old doing? Y'all need to stop blaming 11. Well, 11 must have deserved it, man. Shrugging, that's a horrible take. Victim blaming is shitty, y'all. The fact that so many comments are assuming you didn't speak to your daughter and continue to not speak to her really tells me they are coming at it from a malicious point of view. You are NTA. You were in a horrible situation and I think protecting the victim was the right thing to do. Of course you have more steps to go through now, but I assure you everyone here would be flipping their shit if you said you sent your 11-year away or that you had left them together. You had no good choice and you made the least horrible one.
I would say not the asshole. I see that a lot of people are saying you should have shipped 11 off, but she's clearly the victim and wrong party here. Sending her off would have seemed like a punishment in itself. Also, if this is some type of a jealousy thing, 14 knows that in future if she wants you to herself, all she has to do is create a little mayhem. Something seems off with 14 though. Therapy is a good choice. Not the asshole. It sounds like you're handling a difficult situation as best you can. I hope you're able to get to the bottom of what's going on with 14. Do you think the fact that this happened on April Fool's Day may have any relevance to what happened? Not the asshole. It sounds like a horrendous situation, and you're trying to handle it the best that you can with the resources available to you. Definitely get the older girl into therapy ASAP, though, because what she did goes way beyond standard teen angst. I think that your concern about a mental illness is a valid one. Keeping them apart for now sounds like the safest option, and I'm glad that you have the support system to do it. Not the asshole. My older sister abused the heck out of me when I was a kid, and if my parents had finally sent her away I would have been so grateful.
Not the asshole. You done what you thought was best in the current situation. My heart goes out to 11. I can't imagine coming home to your entire room destroyed by someone you love. I know you mentioned you're going to get 14 some therapy, which is great. Because she obviously has something going on. It could just be normal teenage hormones, but still. Good luck. I hope everything works out for you guys.
I just saw this today on TikTok. The younger sister killed a guinea pig as a joke, so older sister ruined everything. Not your daughter's right. Although you may be slight R, ultimately you are not the asshole. You had to remove the oldest to de-escalate things and to see what was salvageable, but you have to have a good talk with oldest and see what may have triggered her. Not the asshole. I think the thing you mentioned in a comment about the grandma being 14's favorite is important, and maybe should have been in your original post. You didn't just exile her, you sent her to someone who might be able to get to the bottom of this while you comfort 11. 11 is the victim here, and you need to be sure she'll feel safe before allowing 14 back anywhere near her and her stuff. That being said, there has to be a reason 14 felt like smashing stuff. Therapy is an excellent start, and hopefully the therapist can get to the heart of it. Something set her off, and I have a hard time believing it was just about the face cream. Not the asshole. I think you did the right thing. You know your kids and what they need. Your 11-yo needs to feel safe in her own home. After violation like that, she doesn't. Your 14-yo needs some serious anger management help. This is far from normal sibling behavior. I would suggest that you give your 14-yo some idea of the dollar value of the items she destroyed. She can babysit, if she can be trusted with other people's kids and possessions, which is a big if, or do extra chores or mow yards to earn the money to pay you back for whatever part of that you feel she needs to. But it would be a very good lesson for her to learn that if she destroys other people's things, she has to pay to replace them. And that money comes from hard work.
Not the asshole. I think you should have tried to listen to her motives. Did she even try to explain herself before sending her away? But I think it's understandable that you were very upset at the moment and didn't prioritize that. I especially felt the part about the stuffed animal in the trash. I know if I was 11 that would hurt a lot. Edit. But I mean, I understand why you didn't ask her motives in the heat of the moment, but obviously I hope, once things calmed down, you sat down with her to find out what's going on. You said you plan on taking her to therapy, so I didn't initially say anything about it because I assumed you already talked to her about her motives and weren't going to just blindly punish her. IDK, you sound reasonable.
Not the asshole. I would be so furious with 14, that I would ship her off for a few days too. It's better than screaming or hitting her. 11 is the one you need to deal with now. She has just had her room violated and all her things destroyed. That is massive, and I doubt she will ever truly forgive or feel safe with 14 again. While 14 is away, I'd be boxing up all of 14's possessions barring a mattress and 7 changes of clothes, which is more than she left for 11. Store them somewhere for a few weeks to make sure this wasn't all 11's fault. Then if 14 is still in the wrong, dump her stuff. If 14 didn't have a damn good reason for being a monster, then why should she be allowed to keep her stuff? She needs a solid punishment or she'll end up on the 6 o'clock news.
I don't think it's appropriate for Reddit to judge this. You need intense counseling for 14 and 11. You are missing a lot of pieces, and you are a single mother, so this will be harder on all of you. Get help, this situation is too big. Info: has 14 been acting differently at all lately? Shyer, more tantrums, anything? I'm just wondering if maybe there's something going on in her life that she doesn't feel comfortable talking about. I mean, I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm scared that maybe someone has been taking advantage of her, and she feels ashamed and doesn't want to tell anyone, and was angry about it happening to her and not her sister. My bio dad did some things, and while I'm glad he never touched my sister, it still hurts sometimes because, why me? Why was he fine hurting me and not her, too? Even though I've had over a decade to get past it. Again, I don't want to be alarmist. It could be any number of other reasons. I just want to make sure you're aware that this could be a potential reason. Honestly, not the asshole. If I came home and found that one child had done that to the other, I would send him away for a short while too, because the rage that would fill me would make me want to lay hands on them, and I wouldn't want to do that. Most people are only calling you the asshole because you didn't mention at first you talked to 14, which I don't think is an important enough detail to miss to call you tar.
This is a really weird one. 14 had a violent episode, and then went and did her chores and was calmly doing her homework like nothing happened. I'm here to suggest that both of your daughters need mental health intervention. 14 for obvious reasons. As someone who battles hoarding issues personally, I have to warn you that an incident like this could profoundly affect 11 for the rest of her life at her age. To lose all of her possessions in a malicious attack is a perfect storm to develop a hoarding complex. Keep a sharp eye on that, and get both those kids in to talk to a professional. What was her explanation for doing this high-effort damage?
People here actually think 14 is a victim. She just sounds like an idiot teen doing dumb TikTok shit for virtual clout. Highly doubt it goes it deeper. She probably wouldn't have asked Reddit if she thought she had a personal idea as to why. Not the asshole, and I hope you're able to get to the bottom of what's going on with your 14-year-old. Though the expression of it in that way is obviously wildly inappropriate, anger like that usually comes from somewhere. Is she being bullied at school, or is it possible there's an adult in her life who's abused her? Keeping the kids separate for the time being is a good idea, and they should do therapy individually, and then together before they're forced together again. Not the arsehole. Please post an update.
No, you are not the arsehole. Parenting is hard as F content second guessing of your decision, dealing with people who don't have all the details. Parenting teenagers is even harder. Can you afford therapy for the girls? The 14th of May be dealing with something they don't know how to process. 11 could benefit from an outlet that is not obligated to care for both of them. Honestly, sending 14 away may have been the best option at the time. It gave you time to process and help 11 process. Can you find a mediator? Someone who doesn't know 11 or 14, have them meet at a neutral location and spill the proverbial beans.
For everyone say you are the arsehole. Do you not remember how sometimes you'd get ridiculously angry at a sibling over something stupid, or you'd get some frustrated with how you feel but not know how to channel it? I've had it done by my sister in relation over a stupid argument. The biggest issue with being 11-15 is you're experiencing extremes in all aspects of life. You're stuck between being treated like a child and expected to act like an adult without having the emotional capacity to do so. There's no excuse for what 14 did, and I hope 11 is okay. I think you did the right thing by allowing 11 to be at home and have some space to recover. 14 needs to understand the impact of what they did and that it's not okay. I hope everything gets sorted out for you all regardless of how it gets done, not the arsehole. NTA. After all your edits, 14 definitely did it for TikTok. Talk to GMA about taking 14's phone and handing it straight to you so they can't delete the video. Kids are doing really stupid things for the TikTok overlords. Please post an update when you get to the bottom of this. Not the arsehole. I think you're not the arsehole. It sounds like you are trying to get everyone some space after a big incident while you try to get to the bottom of it. It sounds like 14 is going through something. Hopefully her therapy will help get to the bottom of this at least. One extra suggestion: maybe get locks to the bedroom doors that only you have a key to. If this was for one of those goddamn TikToks, I hope you ground her until she's fucking 40. Not the arsehole. No judgment, because this all appears to have blindsided you, but I'd take this to relationship advice sub and also get a lock for your 11-year-old's door. Not the arsehole. The amount of victim blaming in the comments is out of this world. Not the arsehole, given that you are still communicating etc. with 14. 11 went through something awful, and 14 did it for apparently no reason, so 11 should get this time to reassemble her life while her sister sits in her own thoughts a minute. Sometimes 14-year-old girls are irrational, destructive creatures. It's important to make clear that it's not okay to lash out just because you are bored. And I totally get the giving sewn clothes to 11. If 14 thought clothing was sacred, she shouldn't have touched her sister's things. I think you actually handled this well. Not the arsehole. Funny how she wanted to smash up things and chose someone else's things rather than her own. That's a good clue that it is not mental illness. Quite frankly, if I were the other sister, I would now be afraid to live with her. Not the arsehole. I think this was reasonable. Glad you were talking to her. The next couple years may be a rough ride. So glad you have the support of grandma. Get that therapy for everyone, not just her. Feelings need to be expressed. Everyone here saying that there must be something missing is severely narrow-minded. I did shit like this all the time when I was younger. I had little to no impulse control. I'd obliterate my siblings' room because it was fun. Not the arsehole. This is an intense situation and hindsight is 2020. It could have been handled better, sure, but no one is perfect, and by the sounds of it this was a scary and very unexpected shock to experience. Best of luck to you in regards to all of this. NTA. Honestly, I would be frightened of my child if she did this to her sibling, no matter what the age. She's clearly going through something, but that is no excuse to behave like that. She obviously knows it's wrong, but what did she expect to happen? I do understand why she would be upset about her clothes, but in my mind she ruined her younger sibling's personal property, so she shouldn't expect hers would be untouched. Do unto others and you'd have them do to you. Not to mention, if she was older, this would have been possible a charge, and even worse, possibly jail time. I hope she gets the help she needs and learns a lesson from this. Good luck, op. Not the arsehole. You need to do some research on sibling abuse and sit down with 11. I'm willing to bet, sure as the gods made little green apples, there have been problems long before this that went under your radar. You say they bicker but love each other. Really? What evidence do you have of this, or is it an assumption on your part? 14 is abusive and removing her from the situation is a good idea. I would recommend therapy, for both, and to rid yourself of the assumption that they love each other, because I bet 11 has some stories to tell. Not the asshole. I know people might be giving you a hard time about it, but honestly I was in your daughter's position before. Even the same age gap between myself and my sister. I wish my parents had done what you did when my sister did things like this. Instead I grew up feeling unsafe and walking on eggshells because I never knew what else I would accidentally do that would set her off. You should try to get your oldest into therapy to see if there's an underlying mental health issue, then go from there. Not the asshole. I don't get some of the comments, basically victim blaming and trying to make 14 seem innocent. Honestly, sending one away was the best way to go.